Hey everybody. All right. So sorry about the interruption there before. I don't know how many of you saw it or not, but I'm trying new software and I don't know, it just didn't quite work out for me. So I decided to pull the plug and go back to my usual way. All right. So you're going to probably see me as a lefty, but one day that'll get fixed. I'm not a lefty, so just so you know, but I know I'm probably mirrored or unmirrored, or I don't know what the terminology is for it. So, all right. So, this part of this show, this live stream, is for those of you just starting out. Okay. So, when I say just starting out, I truly. Oh, everything looked good. Oh, thanks for letting me know. Geez, I was getting error messages. That's the problem, and my camera was cutting out. Uh, I, I I don't really know why, but anyways, thanks for letting me know. So I am gonna, I'm gonna get that under my wing. So hopefully that will make what I want to do in the future make it a little easier to do. So thanks for the feedback on that. Probably panicked, I guess. I'm assuming I was a righty over in OBS. and, um, uh, so okay, all right. So look, so for those of you that come here quite a bit, this might be a little bit redundant for you because hello Sherry, hello Jose. This might be a little redundant for you, but as you know, I do have to cater to everybody, and yeah, okay. So I'm not a lefty. I have changed all my settings. It's supposed to be unmirrored or whatever, but for some reason, I don't know if it's YouTube or it's my phone reason, but I am a righty. But anyways, uh, so look, for those of you just starting out, so for those of you that follow me, this is redundant to you. I understand that. It'll only be about 15 or 20 minutes. But for those of you that are just starting out, this is so important, all right? Because this is what I'm going to tell you and show you now was never told or shown to me. And I tried twice to learn guitar, and both times I quit after about a year and about 6 months in between. So now we're looking at 3 years, and I look back on it and I go, my God, I just like I still don't really know how to play songs well. I can't play bar chords very well. My strumming sucks. I mean, I really was like a kind of a jack of some trades and a master of none. And it wasn't until I decided I was going to give it one more try to learn the guitar. And I don't know what it was. In fact, I think it was somebody that I was out somewhere and I was asking them stupid questions like, it was a fellow that I thought played really well, and I said, "Hey, were you were you doing a down 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 up kind of progress like a pattern?" And the guy looked at me like I was from Mars or something, and he said, I really don't know what you're talking about. He said, I just play by feel, right? And I was kind of like, well, what does he mean? So I said, well, like, what do you mean? And he said, well, like, I don't play by a book or sheets or memorizing numbers or any of that stuff. I just play. And he said, but in order to do that, like, these two hands, man, they got to work like one. And I didn't know what the guy was talking about, but it stuck in my head. So I'm driving home and I'm thinking, like, what does he mean? And he wasn't the type that was overly friendly or overly helpful. It was basically, he was just being polite and, and he just wanted me to know that, don't bother me kind of thing. And, but that what he said stuck with me. And sometime later, probably the next morning, I realized that in order to play the guitar, right, it's not, you don't start out playing chords or playing bar chords or picking notes or playing power chords or any of that kind of stuff. There's something that you actually have to do before you start all that. And you got to train. You've got to condition your body and train your motor skills. The motor skills, we have motor skills, everything. We have hand-eye coordination. We have, ear training. We have, all kinds of motor skills. We walk, we talk, we eat. These are all motor skills, right? Our brain tells us what to do and how to make everything work together to get the job done. And it dawned on me that that's what I need to do. So before you learn your first chord, whether it be a C or a D or a G, okay, or an E or an A, okay, before you do any of that, you've got to train these two hands. Duh, okay? Because let's face it, you pick up a guitar for the first time, you cannot do anything. You can do this, okay? Or you can do that, or you can just put your fingers anywhere and see what it sounds like. Absolutely. But in order to start even remotely learning how to play the guitar, you have to condition and work on your motor skills. Now, the motor skills that we need to start playing the guitar are left hand and right hand, working together like a machine. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let's look at basic guitar playing, right? What did I just do? Well, I only played 3 open chords, but in order to play those chords, I had to have these two hands working together, in sync, right down to the minutest millisecond. Now, that sounds easy, but it's not. So what I decided to do was, well, I was just going to go into a guitar boot camp. So I sat that next morning with this person's kind of words stuck in my head. And I said, I've got to train my hands, right? So I sat down and I knew a few chords. I knew D, and I just started. Then I realized, okay, when I play a D, I have to play a certain number of strings. So I made sure, nice and slowly, that I could do that. And I knew where my pick was supposed to go. Did I hit the 5th string? Of course I did. Did I hit the 6th string? Of course I did, right? But I try to keep it to those 4 strings. And I just went relentlessly, right? Now, what I'm doing here is I'm training my hands as if I was a juggler. Now, I often make this analogy to those that follow me. Being a juggler, think about it. You have 2 objects. Start with one object, a ball, a bowling pin, a flaming kazoo, whatever it is you're juggling. And you throw it up in the air and you catch it and you throw it up. And then that's easy, right? Anybody can do that. Okay? Then you take a second ball and you start doing this. Now it gets a little different because you got a couple of things that your brain has to focus on, and you've got timing issues and how high do you throw the ball, right? And of course, you're probably going to drop them once, twice, all the time. Well, in guitar, that's like learning a D chord is one ball and being able to strum that like that, okay? Then we have to learn a second chord, and we have to be able to transition to it in the beat of the music. So if I'm playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, my next chord has to come in the exact same interval, the same time it took me to go 1, 2, 3, 4 on the D. When I go back to the 1 on another chord, I got to make my change, be ready to go, make my adjustments, and come down exactly on the 1. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that's like the juggler getting both balls, knowing exactly, figuring out how high to throw them so he has time to make whatever he has to do with his hands. So when we're learning the guitar, the number one mistake that people make when they're learning their chords to just go too fast. Right off the bat, you're going fast, right? Because you think, well, I want to play music next week. I want to be playing songs. And you really have to say, um, you really have to say to yourself, slow down, relax, right? Let's get it right. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, at first, you're not going to be able to do this. You're going to have to stop, look, change your fingers, make sure you get the right string in the strum, right? And then you're going to come back to the D, and that's absolutely normal, but we have to do it, okay? And we have to build up these two hands, the motor skills with these two hands, in order to play the guitar before we can do anything. Nobody told me this, right? So I just went in all half-cocked, and I got my D, C, right? And I had no clue as to if I was fretting the right strings. Take it slow, learn one chord at a time, learn what it sounds like, learn where the pick has to be. If you're using your thumb, you learn where your thumb has to start the strumming process, okay? Now what we want to do, right, is we want to add our second chord, right? And we want to do the same thing. Now, if you can't do that and you won't be able to at first, try not to stop this hand. This hand should be going 1, 2, 3, 4 all the time, no matter what you're doing here. Now we're going to go 2, 3, 4. Now if you can't get to that D, keep this hand going while you get it figured out. A lot of people, me included, did the opposite. So what I would do is I'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I would stop this hand so that I could figure out where to put that hand, and then I would start again. Now what that did, I didn't realize it at the time, that just slowed the whole process down. That just slowed, it took me longer and longer to get everything working on the same page. You need to force yourself in order to adapt. You need to work your muscle to make it bigger. You know, you need to you got to do something all the time in order to make it faster, better, quicker, taller, stronger, whatever, right? So that's the first thing, is we want to make sure you start at a pace that you can work with. Now, if you can't do that, like I said, keep going with the right hand, right? This is a process that you're probably going to do for at least a month, 4 to 6 weeks. I call it boot camp. Now, in that 4 to 6 weeks, what you should be doing is your goal should be to try to be able to switch between 3 chords, 3 open chords from the same key. Huh? What does that mean? All right. So the first thing we're doing here is we are sharpening our motor skills, and we are getting to the point where we can strum and change from one basic open chord to another in the simplest, slowest strumming pattern, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? When you can do that, now we can start speeding up a little bit, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And don't worry about playing only downstrokes. That's completely normal, and it's actually the best thing to do, because remember, your brain right now is 100% focused on your left hand, right? Because that's the key. If you can't make these chord shapes and do it in a timely manner, you can't play music. Music is made up of chords, and we're going to get to that next, right? So the first thing we need to do is be able to switch between three chords. Now, you saw me use D, C, and G. You don't have to use D, C, and G. But what you need to do is use three chords that live in the same key. Now, as a beginner, you don't know what a key is. I didn't. I played 5 years before I knew the relevance of a key, right? That's like I just didn't know because we've got Google. And Google, if we want to learn a song, Google tells us what chords to play. Simple. It just doesn't give us any theory. And the reality is, when you learn or play a song, an overwhelming majority of the time, that song is written using anywhere from 2 to every chord in a key, right? Some might use 3 chords in a verse and then a different 3 in a chorus, or they'll use 2 of the chords from the verse and add a new one in the chorus, or they'll play the same 3 chords in the chorus but backwards. And some songs are the same 3 or 4 chords all the way through, right? But the key to remember this is, or the important thing to remember is, that songs are written from chords within a key. So, as a beginner, it makes sense to learn your first 1, 2, and 3 chords from the same key. That way, as soon as you can play, and I'm using this as an example, D, C, and G chords, now all of a sudden you could go to the inner Google and say, give me songs C, D, and G, and you will get a list of songs that will blow your mind, right? There'll be classics, there'll be rock and roll classics, heavy metal classics, there'll be folk songs, country songs, you name it, campfire songs, religious songs. You'll get all these songs that are in C, G, and D, or any combination of those 3 chords. So it stands to reason that as a beginner, if you learn 3 chords from one key, now other keys are the key of D, you learn D, A, and G. We'll get to that more in a minute. And there are other chords or keys which I'll go through. But the reason that beginners are steered towards the key of G, which gives us the G, C, and D chords, is because there are only really 3 keys that have multiple open chords that we can play. The rest are bar chords, and we don't want to do that at this stage. It's just too difficult, right? You'll be making a huge error if you start day 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 trying to play bar chords. It will set you back. There's a time for it. It's down the road. You don't need bar chords. You don't need bar chords. I can't say it enough. Eventually, you will learn that, hey, yes, I can use a bar chord here or there because of this reason or that reason. And absolutely, it's supplementary. Okay, you don't need it to play the guitar. So let's not worry about that right now. So the other keys that we're going to learn 3 chords from is G, which I just showed you, and those three chords are G, C, and D. The key of D, which shares, you'll see that certain chords are in different keys, okay? And in this case, in the key of D, we have a D, which we already know from C, G, D. And then we're going to play a G. We already know that because D, G, C. And instead of playing the C, we're going to play the A. Now you probably play it like this. That's cool. So we have D, G, A, D. One very popular example of a chord like that would, those 3 chords would be this song here. Listen. Right? Okay. So again, that's how easy it could actually be. Hello, Bagwees. That's how easy this can be, right? So 3 chords from the same key. Now here are your options. I chose to learn G, C, and D right off the bat, okay? You can learn D, A, and G, okay? Or you can learn E, A, and D. A, D, E. So in the key of A, A is the first chord. The fourth chord is D. We already knew that, right? Because we learnt it. And then we go to the E major. And those three chords play together. Now, there's also the key of C. Now, the key of C, the songs, 50% of all songs written in every genre are in the key of C, right? The other 50% are split up between all the other keys. So, wow, wouldn't it make sense that if I could play chords in the key of C, I could play, I have a bigger option list. And that is true. The only problem is, what happens is when you look at the chords in the key of C, the three chords that you should be learning, the 1, 4, and 5, are C, G, and, ready? Uh-oh, F, and that's a bar chord, okay? So that's why it's a double-edged sword. The key of C is the best key to learn your chords first because you can play more songs, you have more options. The problem is there's a thing called the 1, 4, 5, and that just means what number are the chords within a key. Now, you don't have to know any of this stuff. This is what Google does for you, okay? But the problem is the 1, 4, 5 are the major keys or chords within the key, and those are the more often used, okay? And one of your major keys is a bar chord or chords is a bar chord in this key. It's the F. So you do not want to get into this in the first 30 days of playing guitar. So a lot of people don't play that C, F, G. Now later on down the road, you can play your F this way, okay? I'm not going to go through it right now. I'm just giving you an overall let's get started thing. That will allow you to play C, F, G. Okay? But as a beginner, you're not going to know this unless there's someone like me telling you, right? I didn't have that. I didn't have anybody telling me what to do and how to proceed and what to learn and what I don't need to learn, right? So we're going to forget C right now, and we're going to concentrate on the key of G, which is G, C, and D. Now for 6 weeks, your job is this. Okay? Now when you can do that, and you can look, it's okay. I've been playing guitar a while. There's people who've been playing guitar 30 years. They still look, still watch themselves play the chords. It's really more out of habit. It's more out of they don't want to look at the people or someone else, so they just watch their hand. It's not that they have to, okay? But at the beginning, you kind of have to, right? So don't worry about looking at your chords. Look at them. Make sure everything's good. So once you get those 3 chords and you can change, now you work on your speed and you want to start using different strum patterns. Now a strumming pattern is what we know as down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. There are all kinds of strumming patterns, okay? And what happens now is your brain is focused on your left hand, right? As it should be. And then there'll come a day where you don't have to put 100% brain power into what you're doing here, okay? You don't have to. It'll do it by itself because you're building what we call muscle memory, okay? And that is just basically like anything we do in life. If you had a job, right, and you had to do all these things on your desk, at first you wouldn't know what to do, where anything is, and how quick you couldn't do it. And then after a couple of weeks or whatever, you're zipping around doing all this stuff. Well, this is the same thing, okay? At first, this is just bizarrely weird to you. But after a few days, a few weeks, next thing you know, like you're starting to figure this out, okay? But we're still using 100% RAM on our left hand, and that's okay. Everybody is different. You might only need 2 weeks to put 3 chords together. You might need 2 months. You might need 6 months. You might even need a year, right? Because it's like anything. Anything. We are all wired differently. We can all learn how to drive. We can all learn how to play a sport. We can all learn how to paint. We can all learn how to whatever. The difference is, oh, Joe did it in 3 days. Oh, Mary did it in 2 days. Oh, Al did it in 6 days. That's the difference. Okay, so you have to understand that. You're not bad, you're not terrible, and you're not great if you do it earlier or later. But we want to get to the point where we can relax our brain and not just, oh God, I got to get all those chords perfect. Once we get there, okay, now we can start paying attention to our right hand. Okay, so now that we don't have to worry about our C and our G and our D, now I can start maybe adding an upstroke into my strum. So for example, I might play, instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, change 2, 3, 4, I might do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, up. Or I might go 1, 2, 3, up. 1, 2, 3, up. 1, 2, 3, up, right? Or I might just do this. Up and down. That's all you're doing, up and down. Now, what you might find happens at this point is your pick on the ups starts to move around, starts to wiggle out of your fingers. And the next thing you know, you're losing your pick. If that happens, don't worry about it. It's completely normal. Everybody does this, right? Hello, Wagar. How are you? Everybody does that. So don't worry about things like that. It's the upstrokes that seem to make you lose control. That is just a comfort thing. Once you are comfortable and confident with your guitar, that will stop happening. And, well, to be honest, it does happen to me. But I'm so confident and comfortable that I can make adjustments in between strums. So if my pick, I'm not paying attention and it kind of turns on me or gets out of my control a little bit, I can just bring it back in while I'm strumming because I have confidence. I've been doing this a while. Comfort level. And that's what we need to build as beginners. And we need to do this before we learn anything other than just playing those 2 or 3 chords, 1, 2, 3, back and forth, go around without stopping. Not before we learn a song or chord progressions or anything different or fancy. No, the first thing we need to do is get smooth with these 2 hands, right? 3 chords. Now we can start playing music. Okay? Now again, this is going to take anywhere from 2 to 6 to 8 weeks. If you're able to learn a 4th chord, fantastic. But don't worry about it, because with those 3 chords, whether it's G, C, and D, or A, E, and D, we'll take those 2 right now, or even D, A, and G. If you can get those down, now you can use Google, find a list of songs. Hello, Bella. Find a list of songs that use those 3 chords that you've just learned. Go through the list and you're going to be surprised. Oh, I remember that. Oh, I like that song. Now you can start using a song to continue to brush up and build your motor skills, because that's the secret of playing guitar. All this other stuff you see, me included, when I come on and show you how to, play a certain pattern or play, bar chords or whatever it might be, right? Talk about the 1, 4, 5 notes and 4-note boxes and playing scales. Before any of that stuff that you don't need, before any of that, you can be playing basic songs in the time it takes to build your motor skills, to get these two hands. This here is the secret to learning guitar. Once you've built the motor skills between these two hands, then you start adding your ear, because now you're going to start developing an ear. What does a C sound like? What's it supposed to sound like? What's a D sound like? Am I playing it right? Are there any bad notes in there? Are there any strings that are clunking? Is everything ringing out good? Right? You trust your ears. Later in your journey, you'll trust your ears to know if you're playing the right chord, right? Like I'm playing a C and a D and an A minor. Oh, wait a minute, that didn't sound right. Maybe it should be C, D, E minor. Oh, that sounded better. That's your ears. You don't have to be a musician to have a good ear or to develop your ears. You hear all these words like ear training and playing by ear. Well, you're listening by ear. If you've listened to music since you were 9 years old and you've heard certain songs thousands and thousands of times, you know when it doesn't sound right, okay? So eventually you're going to trust your ear and then your brain. Now your brain is, right now, your brain is like a cheap computer trying to do a lot of things that it can't do. So it's like those cheap computers that don't have good processors and not much RAM, and you ask it to do something and it's spinning around, right? Okay, your brain is like that. When you start out, your brain can only do one thing at a time. When you start anything, I use this analogy. I remember when I was 16, I was learning to drive, might have been 15, right? What happened was, I think my mother was taking me out, showing me how to drive. And when I first started out, I'd be on the wheel, both hands tight on the wheel, right? And I'm so scared, I'm so nervous, and I'm so hyper-focused on keeping the middle of we had an ornament in the car in the middle of the hood, and I would make sure I'd be watching that like a gun thing to make sure that that was in the middle lane of the lane, and I would be like just so focused. Now, because I was doing good, the problem was I was so hyper-focused on that one thing, keeping the car straight, I couldn't see signs, I couldn't see other cars, I never looked in my mirror, I couldn't see people, I didn't know where I was going, I was just like that. Then after a while, your hands let up, you might even be using one hand. You're looking around, you're still driving straight, but you're looking around, you're reading signs, you're waving to your friend, you know there's cars here, there's a blue car behind you, a white car over there, you see everything, and you're still driving properly. Well, it's because you're comfortable, you're confident. The same here, right? When you start guitar, you are staring down here, and you are like this. Because your brain can only do one thing at a time. Now, as we get comfortable, like I was mentioning earlier, with the left hand, and it's able to move from one chord to another without all this supervision, okay? Now your brain doesn't have to have 100% here. Maybe it gives it 40% or 50%. Now our other 50% can start paying attention to this, our right hand, okay? Whether you use a pick or you decide to thumb it, right? Now I can start thinking of my strumming pattern. Down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, or down, 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 up, down, 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 up, or down, 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 up, down, up, change, down, 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 up, change, down, 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 up, change, right? Now I got my brain is like this and like this. Now I'm okay. And then with me, what happened was I was in that stage, and a friend of mine who came by and was a guitar player started playing. I was doing like maybe 2 or 3 chords like this, right? And he sat next to me and started doing this, picking out to what I was playing. Well, my brain just went, what the hell's that? Whoa, 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 whoa. And everything stopped. I just stopped dead because I'd never heard that before. So I've been playing for 2 months every day, boom, boom, boom. I got my 3 chords, and all of a sudden, my brain heard something that I've never heard before, someone else playing with me, and I absolutely froze and stopped like a deer in the headlights. Okay? Completely normal. Completely normal. Right? Because, hey, I wasn't expecting it. After a while, it didn't bother me anymore because my brain said, it's okay. Yeah, yeah, that's just Joe messing around. No problem. Just focus on what you're doing. So these are things that can't be taught. I mean, I can show you, I can explain the whole, the theory behind all this, but you can't be taught this. This is just a natural evolution, right? Of how things work. Why does someone always yell out Freebird? If I was there tomorrow, would you tempt me? There you go, Freebird. So, uh, if you really want to know how to play it, it's real simple. It's real simple. G. If I D to a E minor, stay on that E minor. F, will you C, E, D, and then repeat it. And I'm as free as a bird now. F, C to the D. And that's all it is over and over again. So anyways, back to what we were talking about. And I guess that's kind of an example right there, in that you could know the chords G, D, E minor, F, C, D. Okay, because we know what song we're playing, I guess we hear the song. But if I just did that with those chords, most people would not know what I'm playing. Okay? They might think it might sound like that, but it doesn't. So I'm jumping a little bit ahead right now, but it's so important that you see this. So thanks for suggesting this song, because really what I just did is I played 4 or 5 chords. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, when I play the real way to play Freebird, or the way I play it, I'm using these same chords. So why does it sound like Freebird, but not when I do it this way? Well, it's this hand, right? And as you move forward, there's only so many chords you can learn. And when you learn G, C, and D, D, C, you don't know it yet, but this is just the iceberg. This is what you're doing once you build up your right hand, right? So we're going to take those 3 chords, and then I'll get back to Freebird. We're going to take these 3 chords, D, C, and that's nothing really, right? Okay, let's do this. Same chords. Watch my left hand. I don't do anything different. She got a smile that it seems to me reminds me of childhood memories, and everything was as fresh as a bright blue sky. Okay? Same 3 chords, same movement with my left hand, but it didn't sound like this. It sounded more like a song. Okay? So there's an exact example of what I'm sort of leading you to in how you should start if you've never played guitar before. Is just start with your 3 chords from the same key. Go through boot camp. It's going to sound like shit. It's going to sound like nothing. Get it to the point where you don't have to worry about your left hand. And again, that could be anywhere from a week to 2 weeks, but honestly, closer to 2 months, before you can. And that's playing every day. You should always play every day as a beginner. It's okay to take 1 day off. Maybe your fingers are sore, and they will get sore, but that'll go away, okay? Boot camp is what it is. Think of going into the military. What's boot camp? 6 weeks of hell. So think of guitar boot camp as 6 weeks of hell. Your fingers are going to be sore. You're going to start questioning yourself whether you can do this. Okay? You're going to have all this stuff coming at you that you don't know how to process. You don't know what you should be doing. You don't know if you're doing right what you should be doing. You don't know anything because all you got is YouTube. And that's not the way to learn. Okay? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I did it. But it's not the way because what happens is you don't know what you don't need. And I'm going to get to that as our last point here before we move on to something for non-beginners, okay? Um, so what I kind of mean by that is the boot camp really is to get these two hands working together, motor skills, right? The juggler, got to juggle, got to know how high to throw those balls, got to get the feel of them, the weight of them. What do I got to do? Okay? That's what we're doing here. We're not playing songs, we're not making music, we're not writing hit songs. We are developing the motor skills that are going to allow us to do those things in a short time. Okay? Play songs, make music, play chord progressions, play scales, play bar chords, play power chords, play triads, all of that stuff. Okay? And that's where your brain comes in. So now we've talked about the left hand and right hand. We're starting to use our ear to make sure that we know when things don't sound right, okay? Or when they do sound right. But we're not going to use our brain because right now our brain is 100% used by learning all this stuff, right? Okay. Now, once you get to that point that you can change chords and you can start maybe using just a basic strumming pattern, like one of the most basic ones that works for anything, down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up. And it's just repeated. So it's all it is down, down, up, down, 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 up, down. But when you play it over and over again, it becomes one long. Now this strumming pattern, quite frankly, you could probably use that on every song that exists out there, with maybe a few exceptions. You could. I'm not saying you should, but you could. And I want you to understand that learning strumming patterns at this point in your development, in your journey, is important because it starts to turn this into something musical. Right? So it's important because that gives us motivation. Now, we're human beings, right? So here's what happened to me. Like I played a year, I was trying all these bar chords, trying to figure all that out. They were sounding horrible and terrible. So every day I'm picking up my guitar, playing, and my wrist's sore. I sound terrible. I am not having a good time. I'm waiting for the hour to be up. I'm questioning whether I should even be doing this, okay? So what happens? Our brain says, hey, Ray, today you're not going to pick up your guitar because, well, quite frankly, you're shit. And I don't want to hear it, okay? So leave the guitar down. Put it down today. So I did. And that day became 3, 5, 7, 2 weeks, a month, 3 months, 6 months. Now I've officially quit, and my guitar is basically an ornament in the corner, right? Because as humans, we just don't like doing things that we're not good at. So we get shut down. Now, on the other hand, if I wasn't off trying to learn bar chords and power chords and thinking I needed to know every position of the A minor pentatonic scale because somebody on YouTube told me if I didn't know it, I wasn't a good guitar player, right? If I didn't know any of that, right, and I just stuck to what I just told you, 3 chords and make them sound really good, now my brain goes, hey, Ray, hey, you know what? Pick up your guitar, bud. You sound good. I want to hear more, and I'm going to give you the motivation. And that's simple. I mean, it sounds so simple, but it's true. And the more we think that we sound good, the more confident we get, the more comfortable we get, the more we're going to put into this. And the more you put into something, the better and the more you get out of it. When you're going through the motions because you have to, because you don't know what else to do, and it sounds like crap, you're eventually just going to give up. I did it twice, right? So, hello, Heinz. So you have to remember that it's so mental, and our human psyche is so fragile that all of a sudden, if we're no good, we don't want to do it. We don't want to show anybody. We don't want to do it in front. We don't want our family to hear because we're so paranoid because we sound like crap. But when you sound good, even though it's only 3 chords, man, you got all the motivation. Now, I had been playing this is the last time I tried to teach myself, when it actually worked. I'd been doing this strategy for about 6 months. And I had learned and been able to play in 3 keys, really. But my favorite was G, C, D, all right? So I had 2 songs that I could play. And I started going to these open mic things and whatever, right? Okay, so I would go there. Now, I played these chords pretty good. G, C, D. Here's another song you can play with G, C, D. She says that it's cold outside, hands me a raincoat. And she's always worried about things like that. Right? That's a long way from I know, but it's still G, C, and D. But it's this hand that makes the difference. But anyways, I digress. So I go to these open mics, and I would play my 2 songs with the only 3 chords that I really could play well, okay? And people would say, hey, man, So one time I was somewhere, and I'd played my songs, and I was sitting there, and I heard someone say, oh, there's that guy he was good, eh? And I thought, are they talking about me? I only know how to play 3 chords. But they didn't know that, you see? And because I only played 3 chords and played them really well, they assumed that I was this great guitar player that could do anything. So, you got to understand that that's how it works. If you only know something, and this you could put this into any walk of life. If you play golf and you have 12 clubs in your bag, but you only know how to use 3 of them really well. You hit a driver straight, you hit a 6-iron perfect, and you're a good putter. That's it. You don't ever use your 3-wood or your 9-iron or your 2-iron or any of that. You just use the 3 clubs that you know how to use and use them well. And people would look and they'd go, hey, that Ray's a pretty good golfer, man. Not really, because I only know how to... You see my point? So, again, it is so important not at the beginning to get overly stimulated and think you got to learn everything, because you won't. You can't. It's just not going to happen. So what happens is when you try too quick to do something that you physically can't do, you're going to fail 8, 9 times out of 10. And if you keep doing that, well, next thing you know, you're not going to want to do it anymore. So stick to things that you know and play them the best you can. Then add to that. So here's your next step. So you know your 3 chords. D, C, G. Right? Okay. Let's look at one more chord in that key. You have a choice. We could do A minor or E minor. Okay? Now look what we can do. Right? So let's take the E minor. So we know how to play a G, right? Because those are the first chords we learned. Oh, where could my baby be, right? Lord took her to the D, D, D. G, G, E minor. to the C, to the D, back to the G. Or we could go down in the bone, da da da, da 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 da, and their tanks and their bone, ba ba ba, ba 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 ba. Or we can go almost heaven, West Virginia, right? We could play all these songs with just the 4 chords. So that's the way you would start moving things along, little by little. At no point should you be worrying about scales, bar chords, power chords, triads. That's another one you're going to hear. You got plenty. That's where your brain has to come in. Then you're going to need some theory, and you got to know your fretboard. And I didn't know my fretboard for 6 years, and even then, I knew. Okay, so I knew if I'm playing a G, I knew that this was a G note. But what I didn't know was what the relevance of that note is. Okay, so I knew that that was a G note in a G chord. But why do I need to know that? Well, now I know that I can now go to this octave G and that G, and I can play little licks and riffs off Gs, and while someone's playing a G chord, right? But you don't need that. That's the last thing you need right now. Okay? Don't worry about stuff like that. You will get by perfectly fine just knowing 3 or 4 chords in the same key, whichever key that may be. Okay? What we got? I think I said hi to Heinz already. Bella, you are so encouraging. Well, well, thank you. Well, I guess, but I'm only telling you the truth, right? I'm only giving you a dose of reality. And the reality is, how would you say it? Being a weekend guitar player there's nothing wrong with that. Okay? So remember, there's all kinds of levels here. There are some people that when they pick this guitar up, their sole purpose is to be a professional. They want to be in the music industry. They want to be in music. They want music to be their source of life and income. In order for that to happen, just like if you wanted to be a professional salesman, a plumber, a chef, an electrician, a teacher, whatever, a scientist, you have to educate yourself. You have to get experience in your field. Okay? We often say 10,000 hours to master your craft. So if you are wanting to be an electrician, there's a good chance that with your schooling, your apprenticeship, working for somebody, that will take up your 10,000 hours. Now you're at the point where I'm a skilled electrician. I can do this for myself. I can have my own business. Okay, but not before. That's kind of the rule of thumb, 10,000 hours to master your craft. Well, if we put that in guitar terms and we say, just play the guitar a half hour a day, well, that's only about 160 hours a year. That'll take us 10 years to get 1,000 hours. Oh my God, I don't have enough time to get 10,000 hours. So the 10,000 hours are for people that are immersed in it. You're going to play your guitar 3, 4 quality hours a day. Then you're going to up it to 5 and 6 quality hours a day because you're going to have to. Then you're going to have to start bands and be in bands. You're going to have to always be learning and acquiring information so that you can do with this guitar anything that is needed. Right? You want to be a studio musician, and the singer comes in and says, oh, I know, guys, the song is in C, but I'm not feeling it today. I want to drop it to A. So now you got to know on the spot what chords you play instead of the chords in C. What chord sequences do I play? What notes am I going to play in the little embellishments and the solos and things like that? That has to come to you like that, okay? So that's what I mean by being a professional. Then there are people that just want to have fun, that just want to play their guitar. You just want to play your favorite songs. You want to learn how to play your songs correctly, but it doesn't have to be by the book, okay? Um, and then there are people that, you know what, once a month, I'll take the old guitar, we'll go to a party, and I'll play campfire songs, get everybody singing. Then I'll put my guitar away for another month and I'll do it all again. And then there's people that, you know what, I just want to play at a coffee shop on a Saturday afternoon, maybe get a gig here and there. I'm going to learn 50 songs. I don't really know how to play scales and I don't know anything about theory, but I can play 50 songs really well. There you go. Okay, so there's all different levels. If you want to be a professional and you want to be in the business and you want to be a professional musician and live off your music and writing music and all that kind of recording music, well, you better start young because that 10,000 hours takes a long time, right? But for the rest of us, and that's what happens when you learn guitar, is you start playing and you think you're doing good. And then you get some, well, I'm just going to say it, some asshole, okay, that says, oh, buddy, you should be playing a G triad there instead of this. And oh, look at you, you're only these guitar snobs, right? It's like anything, right? If you're better than somebody or not as good, someone has to let you know that they're better or you're better. Or no, nobody cares. This is music. This is art, right? And if there was one way to do things, then everybody would sound the same and play the same, and all songs would be the same. But that's not the case. There are artists that you love that I hate. I just can't see it. There are artists that sing and I go, this guy's amazing or this girl's great, and you go, oh my God, that voice is terrible. That's why there's chocolate and vanilla and raspberry. So don't worry about that. Before you start, figure out what you want to do. You want to play songs for your friends. You want to play your favorite songs from your childhood. You just want to you find it relaxing. You just want to pick out your guitar and strum your guitar after a hard day's work. Hey, you don't have to know what the third inversion triad of a G is. You don't have to know that. You don't have to know how many notes are in the major scale. You don't have to know what the third degree of the A mixolydian mode of the minor scale. You don't have to know any of that. It's all bullshit as far as you're concerned. So don't torture yourself by thinking or having someone make you think that you got to know this stuff, because you don't. Okay? I started playing little gigs. I knew 30 songs, and I had written a couple of my own songs. Very basic, okay? But I knew 30 songs. And I could sit there and stretch those 30 songs out for an hour and a half. No problem, maybe more. Play a couple of repeats. And I didn't know what a key was. I didn't know really any scales, okay? I knew the A minor pentatonic scale because for some stupid reason, that's what we were all shown or taught right off the bat. A minor pentatonic, you know, that one here, 5/8, 5/7, 5/7, 5/7, right? I didn't know anything about theory. I knew nothing about nothing. All I knew is that if I did this, I was playing Long May You Run by Neil Young. Long may you run, long may you run, through the pain, when your cold heart shining in the sun, long may you run. That's a little bit rough, but you see my point? I didn't have to know anything about theory and, you know, why I'm playing these chords. Should I play this chord instead because that's the third degree of that scale? If you do that, you are uh, setting yourself up. Well, you might as well just put yourself in the asylum right now, get the straitjacket, put it on, because you will go crazy trying to think and worry about all this garbage. Okay? Learn your chords, learn how to strum your chords, and make them sound as good as possible. Now, for me, I put the pick down after about 8 months, okay? Because I thought I didn't sound good. I was harsh. I was rough. I didn't know how to strum. I didn't have a touch on the strings because it's not about down, up, down, down, up, down. That's only a bit of it. It's how you contact the strings. It's called attack. How you attack the strings, right? Then you don't know things like palm muting that that can make your strum sound a little different, right? By palm muting and things like you don't know these things. You're not supposed to know these things. So don't worry about it. There's all kinds of stuff coming your way that will allow you to take those 3, 4 chords that you know and make them sound amazing and be able to play all kinds of songs, right? So let's wrap all this up because anything more than this is going to confuse a real beginner. So let's wrap it up. First of all, learn 3 songs or 3 chords from the same key. Okay? So I gave you some examples. G, C, and D. Learn those 3 chords and how to switch back and forth from those chords, how to strum them. Learn that. Or learn E, A, and D. And do the same thing. Practice. Okay? Here, I can't resist this because it's a great song. These 3, if you just know these 3 chords, right? Well, we're big rock singers, we got golden fingers, and we're loved everywhere that we go. We sing about beauty and we sing about truth for $10,000 a show. Right? This is a huge song, Cover the Rolling Stone by Dr. Hook, and 3 chords, A, E, and D. And there are hundreds of songs like that. So you learn your 3 chords, you start learning songs. You build your confidence, you build your motor skills, your left hand, right hand. I call it the guitar foundation. Left hand, right hand, ear, and brain. They all got to be working together like a machine, like a fine-oiled machine. And when you get to that point, okay, now you can play guitar. You might only play 4 chords, but you can play guitar. And because you sound good and you've got your guitar foundation, now someone says, hey, this is a cool chord. I want you to learn it. I'm just going to pick one out of my brain here. Okay, hey, it's a B7 chord. All right, let's play B7. All right, so you go, well, and I don't play this chord very often, by the way, but okay, is that how you finger it? Okay, B7, there we go. There's the B7 chord. So now you're not a beginner anymore. So you go, okay, how am I going to do this now? Okay, so we're going to go A, D, there it is, B7. Now, if I was a beginner, what did I do at boot camp at the beginning? I was like, okay, I got to put one finger here. Oh, I got to put the next finger there. And then I got to, is that right? Oh, okay, I got it. Okay, how many strings do I have to? There's no more of that anymore. You're not a beginner. It'll take you 20 minutes, 30 minutes, one day, overnight. The second day, you got it because you're not a beginner anymore. That only happens once. Once you build your guitar foundation, left hand, right hand, ear, and brain, there's nothing you can't do. And that's the time that you start branching out, learning new chords, learning, bar chords. No problem. Okay? It's easy. Again, a couple hours, a day, a night, you'll figure it out because you're a guitar player now. All right? All right. Yeah, don't give up, Bella. It takes longer than sometimes they let you know. And again, I hope you now know that you don't have to know everything. In fact, most of us, me included, big example, I write songs, I play gigs, I do this, I play guitar every day, and I only know maybe that much out of that. That's all I know. There's things I don't know. Why? Because I don't need to know them. And if I don't need to know them, why am I at my age? Why am I wasting my time? Like, I don't need to, I have no desire to do some of these things. Do I want to play in sus chords? What's a sus chord? Well, who knows? Who cares? I don't need them. Do I need to play diminished chords? Do I need to know what a diminished chord is? No, I don't think I've ever played one in my life. Right? Hey, no problem, Sherry. I just, look, these are, if I had this when I started out, man, I wouldn't have wasted the first 3 years. Quitting twice and the times in between the quits. I would have been so much better than I am now, and it would have taken me less time. But I spent 3 years because I didn't know. It's not about what you learn, it's what you don't need to learn. And especially as a beginner, there are certain things that you just cannot do. It would be, it would be like me, the difference between getting in and driving an old car to getting in and driving a Formula One race car. I wouldn't even know how to make the thing go, but I can drive a car. I can drive my car all over the place, but I get into this car, I don't even know how to make it start. Right? So just because I drive doesn't mean I can drive anything. Right? So, like same with guitar. You're not going to know how to play every type of guitar, every type of music, every type of chord, every type of note, all that. You're not going to know. So don't worry about it, right? Okay, so now I promised something for people that are a little more advanced, okay? And everybody's, again, I want to show you how easy this can be, right? When we play chords and when we play songs and when we've been doing it for a while, a couple of things happen. We're either very happy with where we're at with our guitar journey and we really don't want to learn anything else, or what happened to me was after a while, I realized, you know what? I want to keep going with this and see how far I can go. And I'm finding it interesting, so I want to keep doing it. Now, that's the key. I wanted to go further. I didn't have to. I wasn't told to. I wasn't advised to. I wasn't made fun of unless I did. I wanted to learn more. So one of the first things that I always wanted to do was to be able to play along to other music. So a song, okay? Now, I probably couldn't play, the guitar solo to, whatever, Stairway to Heaven or whatever, because you have to know exactly what notes that guitarist played, okay? But I can play along with Stairway to Heaven, okay? In my own way. And that's all I ever wanted to do. And I'm going to give you an example right now. So we talk about soloing and scales and blah, 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 all this stuff. And that was another thing that freaked me out because I had to learn and memorize all these scales. Remember the A minor pentatonic? And then what do I do with it? Okay, so I know this scale. Okay. I play my chords here. I'm a beginner. I'm an open chord player. I play here. What good is this going to do me here? What am I going to do? And how do I use this? No one ever told me that. They told me this is the A minor pentatonic. And you've all seen the videos, and the guys, they go so fast, you don't even know what they're doing, and they're going all over the board. And I'm like, well, all right. So I figured I'm going to have to learn another way to start playing along to music. And this is the easiest way to do it, okay? So we got a chord progression I'm going to put on. All right. It's A minor, D minor, to the G, back to the A minor, okay? So, to me, that is the key of A minor, okay? So, I'm going to find an A. Now this is where you got to know a little bit about your fretboard, okay? To play songs, to play gigs, to play all your favorite music, you don't have to know your fretboard. Just do the inner Google, right? And it says play a G, play a D, play a C. You don't have to know that the G is actually a G, a B, and a D note. You don't know. I didn't know that for 5 years. Don't worry about it. But that's all a G is a G, a B, and a D. Okay? So in this case, key of A. I'm going to find an A on my machine here. Okay? So here, we'll take this A right here. There's an A right there, right? This is an A. Oh, you can hear it, right? It works. Sounds right. Now, how do you know it sounds right? Well, because if I did this, like you can tell it's off, right? But that's right. So A, okay? Now all I do is I go up 2 frets, and I play this note here. Okay? Then I go under and play the same thing. So I have a 4-note box. So let's take this A here, A. 2 frets up. If I just did that, that would sound just fine. Right? Okay. Now I go underneath, and I play those 2. Now I got a 4-note box, right? How easy is that? Now, you gotta know where your notes are, so you had to know that this is an A, okay? And then it's just, and then through ear practice, you're gonna know which note to play when a certain chord comes. But you can play in any order. Watch. I'm gonna start here. I'm playing in any order, and it sounds okay. But with a bit of practice, four notes, and I'm playing along with somebody else's music, right? It's that easy. Then we can take those same 4 notes. You'll get there, Bella. Don't worry. I used to say that too. I could never do that. You'll get there if you want to. If you don't, that's cool. But if you want to, you'll get there, right? Remember, don't get bogged down with all this fancy stuff. Keep it simple. And this is about as simple as it gets. Find out the key of what you want to play to. In this case, it's A, right? Find an A on your fretboard and play 4 notes. Don't worry about what the notes are. You don't have to. It'll work. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now I can go to this A. Or I can go to this A. This A. As you get better, you just jump from A to A. That's how the pros do it. They just do it so fast that you don't realize it, and so smooth. And instead of playing maybe a 4-note box, they might actually be playing from the A minor pentatonic scale. So if any of you out there have learned your A minor pentatonic, but you don't know how to use it, you don't know what to do, well, that's that scale that starts here on the A, right here, okay? And you go 5, 8, 5, 7. So listen, I'm just going to go through the scale. Listen. It works. And all I'm doing is I'm not being creative. I'm just playing it by the book, note in order, right? So let's say I didn't. I can play any of the notes in that scale. That's why they're called a scale. You can only play the notes in the scale, but you can play any of them, all of them, some of them, one of them, or play the same 2 over and over again. So here's an example. Again, key of A, music. A minor pentatonic, right here. that's that. Now, if this was in the key of B, I would do the exact same thing, but I would go to a B. So I'd look on my fretboard until I found a B right here, and I'd play 4-note box. B, right? And the octave is right under. So to find an octave, if this is a B, you go over 2 frets to here and down 2 strings to here. So B, and under there is your octave. So this note and this note are both B's. Now, there's your power chord. For those of you that are wondering about the power chords. Okay, so this would be a G power chord. G, and this note right here, the 5th. Right? And that note is a D. Now, if I put my pinky under here, that's a G. So I'm playing a G, a D, and a G. That's called G5 power chord. A, B, C, and on and on. That's all that is. Okay? So that's where your next step is down the road, is to start learning basic things like this. And remember that it's never as difficult and complicated as it seems. Yeah, okay, Jerry, yes, but the note has to be the root note, okay? So you're right. So for example, I don't know, we'll just pick something here. All right, so.
What's better after 50, when gym or Tai Chi?
One builds ego, the other reverse.
All right, now we're in G. So I'm gonna find a G, okay? Just to make it easy, we'll use this one. Now, you can play a scale, a G major scale, a G minor scale, a G minor pentatonic, a G major pentatonic, a G blues, a G blah, 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 blah. Or you can do this. G, 2 frets up, whatever that note is. It's going to be an A. And then under the G is a C, which is always under a G. And 2 notes up, there's your 4-note box. Listen. What's going to make it sound good, bad, or otherwise is your timing. When do you play the G and the A? While you can play any of these at any time, it may not, it'll sound good, but it may not work. But when you now you got something that goes with it. Now, the next thing you do, this would be boring if I did it the whole song. So we take that G and we find another G. Let's take this G right here. And we do the same thing because the notes are the same. G, A, C, D. G, A, C, D. G, A, C, D. G, A, C, D. G, A, C, D, right? So now we can go. We can just jump around to the different G's. We can just jump around. This way, we're not using a scale, okay? We're using these 4-note boxes. Now, okay, so it's important to understand. If you want to play, let's say that was a hit song that we were just listening to. It's just a chord progression, but let's say it's a hit song, and you want to play the guitar solo note for note. Well, then you have to find out what scale, and usually they play a scale. What scale, or were you doing what I was doing, just playing these little 4-note boxes, but you have to do exactly what that guitarist did to make it sound the same way. That makes sense, right? Okay, so then you have to do what they're doing. Also, if you're in a band or there is a second guitar player, okay, you have to play what each other is playing. So if I play this, but my other partner is playing a G minor pentatonic, which would make me have to go out here to get that second note. So it's not a 2 fret, it's a 3 fret spread. And these notes are the same. But when I do this and he does that, we're gonna clash and it's gonna sound sour. So again, if you want to replicate a song, you have to play exactly what they play. If you are playing with another guitar player, you have to play what each other is playing. Okay? But when you're on your own, you can do whatever the heck you want. And the easiest way to start is exactly that, is just go, all right, what's the key of this song? Oh, it's in, here's one for you, D flat. I know nothing about the key of D flat. Like, what the heck is that? I didn't even know it existed. No worries. Find a D flat on your machine. So we go to D, which would be, we're just using this string. There's one on every string, but we're going to use this string. There's my D. One down is my D flat. Okay, now I don't know anything about D flat, but I'm going to start here and I'm going to play my 4-note box. D flat, E flat, right? There's my 4-note box. Now, if something was on in D flat right now, I'm grooving to it. And I don't know anything about D flat. And I assume you don't either. But you don't have to. Just as long as you find that key note. Okay? Now, the next step from there is knowing what notes you're playing in the scale. So let's stick with the G, right? So the G, A, C, D. I'm playing a G, A, C, D. Now, if we look at the G scale, okay? The first note in the G scale would be G. You got it. So G. The second note would be A, right? G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There's the scale. D, or a G, A, B, C, D, E, F, and then back to G, right? Okay, so we number these notes. So in the G scale, the first note, number 1, is G. The second is A. The third is B. The fourth is C. The fifth is D. The sixth is E. The seventh is F. And then we're back to G, the octave, the next G higher. So that's it. That's in the scale. We've numbered them. So what we were just doing, we were playing a 4-note box in G. So G is 1. A is 2. Okay? Now the third is B, right? So where's the B? The B is right here. G, A, B. There's your third. There's your fourth. And there's your fifth. Now, this is for everything. The first note of a scale. If you just go right underneath it, you always have the fourth note of the scale. Right? So if G is 1, C is 4. If I go here to this G, G is 1, C is 4, right under it. 1, 2. We're going to forget the third because we're playing a 4-note box. 1, 2. We're not playing the third. We're going to play the fourth and the fifth. 1, 2, 4, 5. Now under the fifth is always the 1. So 1, 2, 4, 5. 1, 2, 4, 5. So to put that in perspective, ready? Okay, to put that in perspective, 1, 2, 4, 5, 4, 2, 1. 1, 2, 4, 5, 1, 2, 4, 5, 5, 4, 2, 1. That's how you start building patterns all the way up, by 1, 2, 4, 5. Go under 1, start again. 1, 2, 4, 5. Go under 1, 1, 2, 4, 5. Okay? That's a little more advanced, right? That way, you'll never get lost on your fretboard. So you know you're in the key of G. G is the only note you worry about. So you got to know, if you ever get lost, you got to go to a G and stay there. Okay, there's my G. Okay, let's pick it up again. Okay, G, here we go. G, A, B, C, G, A, C, D, G, A, C, D, G, A, C, D. Okay? Pakistan, you guys use a lot of, is it India has sitars? You probably play a sitar there. A lot of your stuff is here. So you'd be like, if I want to play chords, you'd be up here somewhere. But yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff, it sounds and looks way more intimidating than it actually is. When you really look at it, which, as you saw, I just broke it down, you know, to those 4 notes. When you really look at it, like, oh my God, it's that easy? Yeah. Now, the rest is how you play those 4 notes. So as you saw, you could get by in, again, the key of G. You could get by just doing this. G, A, C, D, G, A, C, D. Now you're going to sound a little boring, robotic, maybe like a bass player. You're going to sound like a bass player. Boom, 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 right? But it still works. What makes that? Just like your chord playing, right? Remember when we played D, C, and G? Well, that's great. You can play, okay, but I can also play it like this. Sounds a little different, a little more fancy or whatever, but it's still C, D, and G. Well, it's the same with the notes, right? You can just play them like this, or you can play them. Same 4 notes, just played a little more whatever, okay? All right. All right, everybody, I think we've gone a little longer than I was intending to, but so when this should be up, I know I played a couple of songs and I might get a copyright strike, so I'm not sure if this video will stay up or not, but it'll be there if you want to see it. If not, hey, if you don't know or haven't already, please hit the subscribe. You'll get notified when I come live. I come quite often live here to do these little seminars or whatever. And I have I think I got around 400 videos on my channel, all easily explained beginners kind of stuff. And, you know, I'm not more than an email away or a comment away. If you have any specific questions, by all means, send them off and I'll do what I can to help you out, right? Yeah, it should. What happens, Sherry, is when you play songs, like everything is getting so strict in the world now, right? So when you play a commercial song, like you know, that isn't yours, you get flagged as a copyright. Technically, I'm not allowed, and because I'm monetized, I guess, the ads and whatever, that you're not allowed to make money off other people's stuff, right? Okay, I get that. I agree with it. But what happens is you get this strike and you have to either edit out this section or delete it. And a lot of times, because it's instructional, if I edit out the section, it doesn't make sense when you rewatch it. So I just end up killing I just scrap the whole video. So I find you can usually play 5 seconds or 10 seconds of a song and they don't bother you. But if I play too much of it, then I get a copyright strike. So, but there'll be plenty others as well to refer to as well, okay? And again, if you have any questions, my email is in the channel description somewhere. I know it's hard to navigate on these things, but there is an email to reach me personally, or you can comment on any videos. I'm only a small channel, so I do actually see most of my comments, and I try to respond to anything that's serious, when I get stuff like, you're an idiot, well, then I don't, I don't bother responding. But all right, so remember, for all you people starting out, take it slow, one step at a time, quality over quantity. It's better to know how to play only a few chords, but play them really well, than it is to kind of just sort of stumble through a whole bunch of different techniques and you can't really make music with any of them, right? So make sure whatever you do the best, make sure you polish it and do it amazing before you move on and take on something else. You got plenty of time, and as I've shown you, you don't need to know everything there is to know about the guitar. Just like you don't have to know how your engine is put together to drive your car. You put the key in, you turn it, you press this pedal to go and this pedal to stop. And when it doesn't work anymore, you put gas in the side and it works again. That's all we need to know. Okay? If you're playing guitar, you don't have to know all the scales and modes and keys and chords and notes and bar chords and power chords and all these techniques. You don't have to know that. Just play simple stuff, right? Um, Backing track. Oh, hey, Barb. Yeah, well, I'm going to have to see you play one of these days, right? So you're going to have to get to the point, Barb, where you're going to have to make a little video and you're going to have to post it somewhere so that we can see what you're doing. Thank you. Zishan, thank you so much. Yeah, Barb, and I know I know that you understand the philosophy here. Keep things simple and build on what you're good at. Don't, there's nothing wrong with trying different things. But if you feel that this is something that's going to set you back, don't worry about it. Move on to something else. We all have strengths and weaknesses. Even at the professional level, there are certain guitar players that play a certain way because that's their style and that's what they like doing. And then, you get them in a room with someone else who plays a different way and they could be lost a little bit. Now, because they're good and they're pros, they'll, I'm sure, pick up the slack, but sometimes no. And the other thing you guys have to understand too is, when you see all these superstars get together at these concerts or these these television shows or reward shows, and they're all up on stage and they're jamming together and it all sounds so amazing. Well, look, 99 times out of 100, that's all pre-rehearsed. These people have got together the night before and the night before that and ironed out who's going to play what, how's it going to work. These people mostly don't sit there and wing it. I'm not saying they can't, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that, a lot of people think that, anybody that plays a guitar can get up and play anything with anybody, and that's just not the case. In fact, if you really search around, you'll see lots of stuff over the internet where you're going to see people, including people like, who was it, B.B. King. I saw a video when he was playing with, I think it was U2. They were doing a song and he went, hey, wait, whoa, 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 whoa. I can't play chords, man. I don't play chords. This is B.B. King. And he's saying, hey, man, I don't know, what chord is that? I've seen Eric Clapton ask John Lennon, hey, what chord is that, man? What are you playing there? I'm lost. Like, what are you doing? Little things like that. So don't think that, you have to know everything there is, because you don't, you know? G major scale. Yeah, hey, you know what? Okay, so people ask me this all the time. If I want to get into scales and stuff, um, you know, oh, Sherry, sorry, where can we find backing tracks? Right here on YouTube. If hopefully you're still there, Sherry. Just go to YouTube in the search box and say guitar backing tracks, or if you want it to be in a certain key, say backing tracks key of G, backing tracks key of A, and you're going to get all these backing tracks. Like that's what I was using today. I was using the channel is called My Backing Track, not plural, My Backing Track, and it's a channel. I reached out to them and I asked them permission if I can use their tracks in my shows and stuff, and they said, yeah, go for it. So I mostly use their stuff, and there's a few other channels I use as well. And that's exactly what you'll get. They're really good sounding. It's like you're playing with a band. So if you have any problems, let me know and I'll point you in the right direction. Um, okay, G major scale. Yeah, so people ask me what scales, I want to get into scale. What should I learn? Well, the first thing is you don't forget about learning all those different positions. That will come later. You only need one position of any scale to start. And I'm going to tell you, no matter how good you are, it's going to take you quite a while before you exhaust playing in that one position. The only advantage to playing, say, a G major scale in position 2, 3, 4, and 5 is you're going to move up the fretboard and down, up and down, and you're going to be playing the same notes because that's what a scale is. Okay, you play the same 5 or 7 notes over and over again, and only those notes. That's what a scale is. So what all it does is, first position, you play the G scale like this, right? G. There's your G major scale, right? There's your G major scale. The second position, which would mean that you start playing on the second note of the scale. And that brings you, I don't want to get into it because it gets a little bit complicated. And that's all, but you're playing the same notes. You're just starting them. You're not starting on the G, you'll start on the A. And you'll play A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and G will be the last. And that's all. Okay. But the major scale is important because that's how all of music works, is off of the major scale. So what I mean by that very quickly is if I want to make a G chord, we use the major scale, 2, 2, 2, 1, or whole, whole, half, to find the notes. So in other words, G, a G chord is made of the first, the third, and the fifth note. So the first note in a G scale is G. The second note is A, we don't use that. B is the third note, right here. So we have G and we have B. And then we need the fifth note. So B is third, C would be fourth, we don't use that. D is 5. G, B, D. There's my G chord. Right there, G. Right? You might play it like this. G's, B's, and D's. That's all you're playing. G, B, D. G chord. Okay? You use the major scale formula to do that. That's why it's good to know. You don't have to know how to play it, but it's good to know. If you want one scale that I call the all-purpose flower of scales, it's the minor pentatonic. If you learn the A minor pentatonic, or in any letter, because the shape is the same, A minor pentatonic, you can play that over anything. Country, rock, blues, indie, gospel, anything. You can play what you saw me play earlier on. I don't think I announced it as the A minor, but I played a scale to show you that you have to play certain notes. And I think I used the A minor pentatonic. You can play that over anything. Okay? But the G major scale is fantastic. And remember, there's your G major scale. Right? Okay. If you want to play it in B, just go to a B. G, A, B. And you play the same shape. Same shape. If you want to play it in C, find a C. It's right here. Same thing. I'm sure you know that, right? But, all right. So yeah, you know how to, Sherry, you know where to find your backing tracks. Barb, you're still plugging away. And you're probably a virtuoso now, and we don't even realize it. And you don't even realize it. But, now we know that we don't have to play scales, right? So, Sherry, if you are able to do it, find a backing track in a key that you know where the note is. So if it's G, you know that's a G note. Okay? listen to the backing track and just play those 4 notes off the G. G. If your backing track is in F, find an F anywhere on your fretboard. So there's one here, and play 4-note box. Try to stick to these 4 strings, the brown strings, because when you go over the border, your 4-note box isn't. When you go to the treble strings, you have to move over 1 fret. So your box wouldn't be like this. It would be. I think you can see that, right? So instead of going like this, that's off. You'd have to go like this because of the way the guitar's tuned. But if you stick to within the bronze strings, you can play your 4-note box like that. Or if you stick to just your treble strings, so if you're playing G and you use this G, you can go like this because you're not crossing that border. I have a video about this on my channel. It's called Knowing Your Fretboard, I think it's under there, or Fretboard Theory. And it talks about the difference between the brown strings and the silver strings and what happens when you cross from a brown to a silver. But I don't want to confuse you. So just keep it in the brown strings for now. Find a G, whether it's that G or this G. And as you listen to the song, just play those 4 notes. You'll hear that they work. Okay? All right. See you later, everybody. And just play your guitar. That's how you get better. All right.